So hi there, Barney. How are you doing?
Hello, absolutely great. Thank you, David.
Good to meet you.
And you too.
And you've been busy today?
Flat out, like usual, working locally. But yeah, building a porch, masonry, not dry, but
okay,
fun, good stuff.
Yeah, it's all a learning process. So just for the listener, I'll give you a kind of general outline of where you are in the world. It just kind of helps place you where you are.
I'm northeast Wales, so under the Clwydian Range, not far from Denbigh, and yeah, northeast Wales, Denbighshire.
Okay, I've never been to Wales.
You should.
It looks like some amazing stonework there. I've seen some of Sean's pictures of some of the old slate quarries. They'll just look amazing.
Yeah, there's some really, really cool stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like Cumbria, really, but just Wales.
Just Wales. And so just again, just give a kind of little outline of what your connection to the stone world is.
So I am a dry stone waller. Well, I do dry stone walling. I was a part of the Bursary Scheme, DSWA Bursary Scheme, class of 2018, I think, or 20.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah, a long time. But I started that when I was 18, I think.
Okay.
Or 19. I don't know. Probably 19. I started when I was 19.
You were on the DSWA Bursary Scheme then?
Yeah. Which is fantastic.
What kind of child were you before you kind of left school? Are you a studious type, sporty type?
Sporty. I've always played football all my life, and yeah, probably sports. I wasn't academic, but I enjoyed the school's good, but I always felt like I should have been doing something else, really.
And so football, centre forward, was it?
Goalkeeper.
Goalkeeper. How tall are you?
6'2".
Are you?
Yeah.
You don't look at it from that little screen.
You're
about a foot taller than me. I'm only 5. I'm 5'7" on my passport, 5'6" in reality.
Good.
Okay, so when you left school, then what? You mentioned you had artistic ambitions.
Well, I don't know if it was necessarily an ambition, but I was going down a line of art school stroke art career. I didn't really know. I didn't know what I was going to do, but I finished A levels and went to do my art foundation. So,
what college?
Wrexham, local.
Okay.
It wasn't like a university foundation. It was a diploma thing. So it was like it was in college, but not doing it as a university.
Yeah. Funnily enough, when I left school at just after 5th year, and you couldn't get into art college at that age. So I went to a college and did a diploma as well. Sort of what was that? It was called an art technicians course. So I did 2 years of that, which was good because it was a really kind of give you a real good kind of grounding and lots of kind of other sort of skills and discipline around art. You just weren't kind of thrown into the art college. It gave you a kind of real good grounding.
Had I been more applied to what I was doing, because the course was really good, but I was sort of just shitting my pants thinking, I don't want to go to university. So yeah, I think I probably would have had a better experience had I sort of come at it with maybe different approach, or maybe just wanting to do it more.
It's difficult at that age. All I knew was I didn't want to work in an office.
Yeah, I pretty much had the same thing. Yeah,
I didn't know what I wanted to do. So did you fulfill this full year at your college?
Christmas time, and I was just like dreading going back, and I just sort of, I think it's that Christmas holiday, and luckily I was saved from going back just by pure chance by Xander Robertson. So
who's Xander Robertson then? Is
one half Carreg Elwy, who are dry stone wallers who saved me from college.
Was this in a meeting over the pub, in the pub, was it?
No, it was pure chance. So I used to, instead of going to school on a Friday, I would go and work in a timber yard, Elwy Working Woods, a timber cooperative. Brilliant. I had so much fun doing that. Better than school on a Friday, definitely. And yeah, I met him there. And at that point, he was sort of a bit of a site rat. And yeah, sort of like living out of his van. But yeah, I met him there. And I don't know how he remembered me, but he somehow did. And yeah, he saved me from having to return to college.
He saw you as a kindred spirit, did he?
I don't know what he saw. I don't. I was weak. I was pathetic.
Cheap labour, maybe. Cheap labour, maybe.
People. Well, yeah, yeah. Very, very cheap. Very cheap. Yeah. Well, you probably didn't get much labour. I mean, we were talking about it. Like my first day at work, I dug this tiny little hole. I was really proud. It was like the smallest amount of work ever. My thin little arms, but yeah, it's funny looking back. But yeah,
when you first start out, the kind of old guys can really kind of show you up about where you are in the sort of the pecking order. I remember one time when I was working for a stonemason, and I'd just been kind of labouring, but this was a kind of new job he was going on to. He was going to be building an extension for a couple. So our job in the morning was to hand dig the foundations. So there was kind of four sides, needless to say. And so we were each given a side to dig, just to spread the labour. So I was given the short side, and one of the labourers was, the sort of more experienced labourers was given the long side. Well, by the time that break came, in the morning break, I was pouring the sweat. I'd barely got any, distance. And the experienced guy was virtually finished his whole length. And it just kind of taught me, it's about, like I was, it wasn't like I was putting in I wasn't putting effort in. I just didn't really know what I was doing.
Yeah, you're just pathetic.
Exactly. And this old guy that's got a fan, he's just like so efficient at digging. And it's just, I walked away to that break that morning, just like, like a new kind of admiration for him.
Yeah. It's that construction worker thing where it's that, like, you see these old boys with their like technique. It's just like the old man strength as well. There's just so much, construction worker. And then like, yeah, I remember when I was starting, the amount of food I'd eat. Yeah, and I'd come home at like 4 o'clock, sleep, just knackered up. Eventually, something body sort.
Yeah, you adapt. I remember taking on a labourer once for a job that was down at Seaham, and I'd kind of been left in the lurch by somebody, so I kind of had to take this guy on who was a friend of a friend. So every afternoon at 2 o'clock, I used to have to tell him to go and sleep in the car for an hour because he was done. You could just see him like that, his head down. You're going to have a kip, son. Yeah. So tell me a bit more of what you did with Xander then.
Well, Xander and Sean, Xander and Sean, Sean Allen. Well, I think it was a retaining wall in somewhere near Babech, which is a little village, a settlement not far from here, and it was really cool. I just sort of remember watching them build this wall and thinking that's pretty cool. Because I'd sort of known, I sort of observed dry stone walling.
Yeah, it's all around you in Wales, isn't it?
Yeah, it is around. And even when I was really young, I remember saying I want to be a dry stone waller. But, you sort of forget these things. You don't really know what one is. Mm-hmm. But yeah, something definitely clicked. And I thought it's a cool job. I like it. And yeah, I thought I like this, I can do this.
I take it you were just kind of humping and moving things about at that job then at the start.
Yeah, rolling stones around, being pathetic. And and that job probably went on for a couple of weeks, 2 weeks, maybe. And then we went to Festiniog, which is famous for its slate mines. We were building the hospital or the infirmary in the some stonework in the garden of it in Festiniog, which was really cool. And nice place. Brutal, grey, very grey. Everything is grey. The people, the sky, building, road.
I'm not going there for my holidays then.
Oh, do. It's well worth going. Brilliant. Yeah, it's a good place. But yeah, so Festiniog after that, and it was just good. It was chilled out, nice. I was useless. I remember being there, like moving mortar in buckets. Like every mix was atrocious. Like it was the wettest thing ever. Or it was just like
wet, dry.
lugging it like these buckets on my shoulder, or like trying to carry them down this hill, like falling over. Yeah, I remember Sean just looking at me like that's just the most pathetic thing ever. But yeah, it was good. It was good.
And so, how long did you work alongside them then?
Well, I wasn't working alongside them. I was just labouring for them.
Well, with them then.
Mm-hmm.
How long did you work with them?
Oh, I was working with them all through the bursary, so 2 years, I think it was.
You were working with them on a kind of ad hoc basis. Then how did the bursary come along? That's kind of what I'm really interested in. How did you?
So I was working for them. We were doing a job not far from here, where I live in Bursary, and I think Peter Kneen, who worked at the time, I think, for the Forestry Commission, he saw the bursary online advertised, and I was like right at the deadline of applying, and we applied. Well, I applied.
So did they suggest it to you?
Well, we just
or had you kind of seen it?
That meant I could still work for them. They don't have to pay me. Brilliant. Yeah, no complaints at all. So yeah, we were just really keen to get it, and then we managed to wrangle it. I remember the whole time everyone was like, Linda, I think, who was brilliant. I mean, she was the one who organised the bursary. I think she was saying at the time that I couldn't do the bursary because of where I am geographically and stuff like that. But I was just like adamant. I just had to get on it. And,
okay. So what was the application process then?
It was quite fun. So we had to do a written application, which was probably 500 words or something. Can't remember what it was. No idea. And then we went to a trial day in somewhere above Glossop, in nowhere. So
is this a kind of like almost like a short list then? You were onto a short list by then?
Yeah, and there was like 10, maybe even 12 people at this thing. Yeah,
that'd be quite intimidating.
It was great,
quite exciting and intimidating.
It was exciting, and like because I'm really competitive, I was looking at all people. Like, I'm getting this thing. I can beat all of these. But yeah, I mean, I'm great friends with lots of them who are there now, from being on the bursary with them. I can't remember who was there. No, Tim and Johnny were there. I can't remember who else. Percy. But yeah, and Andrew Loudon was there.
Okay, was Andrew leading it then?
No, it's Carl Watson. I don't know if you know Carl. He's master.
No, I don't know. I've met Andrew a couple of times.
So Carl Watson was sort of leading, and Andy was there, just sort of like interviewing with Linda, talking to us, and I think he asked me what I wanted to do with walling, and I was just like, I just love it. It's what I want to do. I'm going to start my own business. And I remember impressing him to the point where he said, I like it. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah,
He immediately bought your enthusiasm.
Oh yeah, he definitely did. I'm probably still as enthusiastic now though. I just love it. The more I do it, the more.
Great. That's good to see. So you went for the day. So was that a kind of practical test, or
what was hard to explain? It's sort of.
I think that would be interesting for people to hear what you had to kind of the trials you had to go through.
It wasn't really a trial. It was like a practice, or like a sort of like a fun day. It was sort of like walling, but everyone is like complete beginners. Really, with a little bit of, I've sort of seen walling being done, never actually done it, but so like the wall was probably terrible, but it was quite fun. It was just chatting, and it was nice. But I can't remember where it was. It was in the middle of nowhere, sort of like Saddleworthy type area, I think.
So just a dozen of you in a pile of rocks.
Yeah, massive field wall and just a gap, and everyone turning up in cars, road full of cars. A little gazebo thing for having lunch under. I remember it's probably like an 8:30 till 4 day, but I remember thinking that it was like the shortest day ever because I was working like way longer days. Just thinking,
early finish.
But yeah, it was. I was like home, but before like the normal time had finished. So it was pretty sound. But yeah, it was cool. But I was like just sort of like vetting the competition, like sussing them out. But I remember leaving, being like quite nervous, thinking, if I haven't got this,
I take it you weren't on either side of the wall, were you? Or did you have a partner, or did you just have a section of wall that you could do yourself?
I think I was working with Tim and then a little bit with Johnny.
I take it these are other people that are on the bursary, or that went through the bursaries.
From Clark and Johnny. I can't remember Johnny's surname.
He'll get you the next time.
But yeah, they're Dryston Wallers. Tim's in Manchester, northern Manchester, and Johnny's in Northumberland. Johnny Lloyd, and yeah. But I, to be honest, I can't remember any of the other people. I remember one guy really annoying me, just being like a total gobshite. But
there's always one.
There's always that. Yeah, Percy as well. I remember thinking like, this guy is mental, and he is a brilliant human. But yeah, he's ace.
And
yeah.
So after that day, then how long did you have to wait or how did it proceed from there?
It's probably like a couple. No, yeah, it'd be a few weeks, maybe a month maximum, before they said, "Yeah, right, you're on the bursary."
You didn't have to go through a second interview or anything like that.
That was it. We turned up at the base in Crooklands, and yeah, we just sort of went straight into it, learning.
Was this the first year of the bursary, or had the bursary been running for a while?
It's been run before. It's not like it's a yearly thing.
Okay.
They have to funding from the Prince's Trust or Linda.
Okay, so it depends on what funding's kind of kicking about.
Well, there was a previous bursary, but every proposal has to be different, and they have to change it, modify it.
Okay.
So we were the second wave, the second bursary. So there's only been two. First one, and then my one.
Okay. And how many people were on that intake then?
I can't remember. I think it's 8.
Right.
Oh, I think it's 8. I'm not sure, but I think it is.
And you all went up to the DSWA headquarters at Crooklands?
Yeah, HQ, and we had a day of 2 days, 3 days maybe, like doing health and safety, first aid, stuff you're just never going to use in the real world.
Hopefully.
Oh, yeah. We got super glue and tape. And then, I think we did like a couple of days of like really basic walling, like just taking down a gap and putting it back up.
So you had an initial sort of block week up at Crooklands then.
Yeah, that was like the start of the bursary, and then like every week after that, we were just back with our normal bursary placement providers. Mine was Carraghelwy, so Sean and Xander, which is sound. It was just like normal work. It was cool. And
what kind of formal kind of structure was put around you?
At the start, I think it was basically just sort of like wanting everyone to be walling, so it's just walling. And so I can't really remember. There wasn't. I think there were all sorts of like bits of paperwork and stuff, but I always sort of like didn't do it and just sort of ignored it. But I was always just walling anyway, so it didn't really matter. We sort of had like a schedule of when we had our level 1 and when we had our level 2 and whatever, and sort of like other various things where we'd be going to do practice week in Crooklands.
Oh, you would have sort of follow-up weeks then. Those were kind of scheduled then.
Yeah, it wasn't like everyone was up to standard. Everyone was always like on the mark every time we needed to be. It was but yeah, it was really well run. But you can't teach dry stone walling through any other form other than actually walling.
Yes, that's where you learn, at the wall, between the rock pile and the wall.
I don't know what everyone else was doing. I know lots of people were doing lots of traveling and stuff and moving around. I did quite a lot, so I did quite a few weeks. I think even before I got my level 1, I was working in Shepley Village with the nobles, which is really cool. And I went to Hazelmere with Andy and Richard and James for a week. So yeah, I did a bit of getting around.
So did that give you the opportunity to practice your walling on different stone types? Was that something they encouraged?
That was my I think there was always like an encouragement for people to work with different stone types and stuff, which for me was pretty easy because I've just got so much stuff around here. It's like everything under the sun in like a 10-mile radius of where I live. But yeah, it was cool. So I got an introduction to Yorkshire sandstone. I got an introduction to Purbeck limestone, which is good material, easy really, but yeah, pretty boring. Just just everything is just like blocks. It's like laying bricks.
Yeah, that's not my favorite type of walling at all.
No.
And so you mentioned there your level 1. So how long a period of time were you given to kind of come up to speed to get to your level 1?
I think it was probably, I think everything was a regular interval, and I think it was a 12-month bursary, so it was probably like 3 months in or whatever it was.
Okay.
But yeah, I reckon I could have done the level 1 in the first week. It wasn't, but yeah, so like by the time I was at level 1, like the amount of walling I'd done, I probably could have done level 2 realistically. But yeah, there's always bound to be a lag or catch up or whatever.
And you took your level 1 at Crooklands then?
Yeah.
And were you given a couple of days sort of practice on the material that was up there, or you were just kind of thrown into the deep?
When we did the test, we had a full week of practice. Okay. So like, you start on the Monday, do a level 1, Tuesday a level 1, just doing it over and over again. But yeah, so it was pretty boring, really, by the end of the week, just doing the same
just
thing.
test today and I can go home.
Yeah, it's almost like that. Yeah, I mean, everyone would have passed in the first time, but it's just one of those things. It's, there's nothing wrong with that. It's good really because you get master craftsman tuition from Andy.
Was it Andy that was leading the course? Was it?
Andy did all the training. I think Pete Isherwood. No. Yeah. No, I did a couple of things with Pete Isherwood, but yeah, Andy was doing all the training for the bursary trainees.
You're certainly getting a top guy to learn from then.
Yeah, the top wig.
And so were the DSW putting you up, or you had to kind of pay for that, or was that support?
Everything was covered under the bursary. So we're staying in Borwick Hall, which is like a Lancashire like school holiday type thing. It's absolutely brilliant. It's like school, like all the furniture's like for children. It was ace, and all the food's like school dinners. Absolutely fantastic. Like food, you get loads of it. But yeah, it was a cool place. But yeah,
I take it that's not far from the headquarters then.
10-minute drive from HQ, just down the road. But yeah, all good.
And of course, you would all just go to bed early because you've got to get up early the next morning.
Absolutely knackered. No, it was usually beers at night, pub, whatever. But yeah, yeah, it was good, and everyone in the bursary got on, so it was good social.
And was it all male?
No, Bo. Yeah, Bo. But yeah, all male apart from Bo. But, yeah.
Shout out to Bo.
Yeah, shout out to Bo Bart.
And I take it, so they were coming from all different parts of the country. Do you know what other areas they were coming from?
Yeah, so we had Dan from Glasgow, Martin from Perth.
Martin Tyler.
Yeah, Martin Tyler. And then we had Johnny from Northumbria, Tim from North Manchester, me from North Wales, Percy from Bradford, Bo from Gloucestershire, I believe. And then there's another guy from Northumbria as well, who wasn't really part of the gang.
So when you were sitting there having a beer on the evening, were they telling you some of the projects that they were working on?
Yeah, it's all cool. I was really, really interested in what everyone else was doing. But
yeah, because you know, all spread across the country like that. You know, there must be a diverse opportunities that they're working on. It'd be good to hear what they were up to.
Yeah, everyone was doing good stuff. It's not like anyone was. Other than, I think Tim was getting a bit frustrated because he wasn't doing much walling. But yeah, it was really good. Everyone was sort of, yeah, everyone was in a completely different place really. So it was all.
And were they all working alongside, say, a DSWA certificate holder or master craftsman, or what?
So they'd have a placement provider, main placement provider, so that's who they'd be working with most of the time. And then a few people went and worked with other people as well, because Bursary sort of wanted us to go off and work with other people. So I did work with Andy Loudon. I did work with the Nobles, Cuthbert, Lydia, and Bill Noble. But yeah, I think they sort of wanted everyone to be with master craftsmen, but I think most people with like level 2 or 3 certificate holders, whatever. But it really didn't matter. It's just, yeah, I think that was the idea. But yeah, I think everyone was sort of like pushed to work with, not pushed, but
encouraged.
You're encouraged, yeah, to work with other people and in different areas, which I did. I think I utilised that as much as I could. So I did a lot of work with Allsop and Barwick as well.
And was that kind of organised through the DSWA, or that was just kind of more done as a word of mouth between, you know, the different DSWA wallers?
I think I sort of like took a bit of initiative and just sort of like did it. I think with Lydia and Cuthbert, I think they sort of organised or asked me to go, but I think I sort of got handed around anyway. Yeah, so
I hope that's in a good way, and it wasn't like, you can take them.
Oh,
you can have them this week.
They're getting free Waller. I don't think they know to that, are they? Anyone in their right mind.
So you obviously enjoyed it. You can tell that from your.
Oh, it's the best thing ever. It's almost, you know, you get loads of people saying, "Oh, you know, you're so lucky getting this and all that." which is true. But you know, you make your own luck, and I think I made the most out of it. So yeah, it wasn't, you know, it's great. It was so fun, and yeah, it was only meant to take me up to level 2, but I managed to do it up to level 3, which is what the original bursary, but the old bursary was 16 months. Our one was 12 months.
Can you maybe articulate a little bit of what you were getting back from the craft and from the material that kind of helped you think this is really for me? So I think that's an interesting thing, how people respond to it, because a lot of people would just think it's a lot of hard graft, and but it's not. There's more to it than that.
There's more to it than hard work, but yeah, I think I've always been a creative person. I really love physical work, so that's another massive plus. But yeah, it was just something creative, good outlet. And yeah, it's just so fun. And like, you can't even, like, people who don't know what walling is, you know, they're just like, you try and describe, no, it's brilliant. Yeah, you stacking the stones, mate. But yeah, I think it's just one of those things. It's just brilliant.
It's really difficult to put in words, isn't it? I mean, I've just moved on to a new site today, and I got my stone delivery yesterday. So I got 50 ton of stone. You should see this stuff. It's just come straight out of the quarry. So there's massive bits and everything. So I had the ground workers in today, and you know, I'm chatting away to them, and they're kind of looking askance at the stone, and they're going, "Are you going to chip all that, mate? You're going to put that on?" I go, "Yeah." And I look, they're going, "Oh." Yeah. It's just that they just don't get it, you know.
They do not.
It just looks like hard work to them.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I can't wait to get started, sort of thing.
Yeah, the possibilities. Like, you're looking at this pile, like the things you could do with it.
Exactly. It's that potential, and you know, by the time you walk away from it and that pile's away, you're gonna have something that's lasting there for, well, past me probably. So hopefully. When did you finish then the bursary? So that must have been 2020 then, is it? If you were at 2019, you said.
I think I finished in. I don't know. I really don't know.
You're very poor at dates, Barney.
I reckon
you need to start a diary.
I don't do that stuff. I don't care for it. I can tell you that I finished the bursary in 2019. Okay. So I started in 2018, not 2019. Okay. Yeah. So I did my level 3 in October of 2019, which is when I finished the bursary.
And you get a graduation ceremony?
Yeah, no, there's a whole platoon of wallers came out, and they fired cannons in my and saluted.
In your honor.
Yeah. No, no, not really. I think we had a good week of finishing the bursary celebration in high. I can't remember what it's called, High Ray or something in Cumbria. So we had a fun, chilled out week with Andy Mason, walling with Macy. Sound really good. It's like a National Trust site, and so that was really fun. And we did a couple of days of feature training at the HQ after that. So it was like a full 7-day fun week.
Okay. So feature training. What did that entail?
It was just like an idea of what you would be doing on your level 3 should you want to do it, sort of thing. And yeah, I hadn't done my level 3, but I was like back the next week to do it. Yeah,
you did that at Crooklands as well.
Yeah.
So what did you have to build for your level 3?
Oh, I did a curve wall, and I did a wall with a lunky, and then I did a retaining wall as a timed test, which seems to be what everyone does.
How much walling and how much time?
I think all of them are 5 square meters. Probably, yeah, it makes sense. They're all 5 square meters, and you've got a day of work. to do it. It's like an 8-hour or 7-hour, whatever it is. Yeah, the retaining wall, I kept on using my hammer. And it's really annoying Andy Macy, because I had Dolphin and Macy examining, and Macy chucked the hammer away. He wasn't liking it.
Poor hammer.
No, it was an S-twing. It doesn't feel any pain. But yeah, I remember being like dead stressed, because like usually the outcome of the wall was like I could have done much better, but I was just like overthinking everything, going weird. Yeah,
you're not sort of relaxed. You're like you say, you're overthinking it, and
oh,
you've got two guys standing at the back, and
I was panicking. Yeah, panicking. I was going manic. But yeah, it was fine. I managed to obtain it. Got the level 3. Job done. Good. I was happy.
Yeah, you'd feel very satisfied, I'm sure. So you graduated then from the bursary. And did you go back to Xander and Sean?
Yeah, well, I just stayed working with them. Nothing changed. It was all just the same.
But they had to start paying you.
Yeah, but not any differently, really. It was just all the same, back to normal. But yeah, it was just work. It was just back to work. Normal.
And what sort of type of work or projects were they getting you involved with?
Mostly, to be honest, it was mostly things like pointing and masonry stuff. I think the first job I was doing was repointing a patio. And there was...
That wouldn't be encouraged on the bursary, though, was it?
No, but I did a hell of a lot of it. Yeah, really not. But I think overall, because you learn a wider skill set, I think...
Yeah, that was one of the things I was going to ask. Within that year of your bursary, was it just purely walling, or were you getting the opportunity to learn other kind of skills and techniques?
Mostly, yeah, I wasn't walling all the time. Definitely not. I did a lot of mixing in wheelbarrows. Real like
that's a thankless task.
Oh, it's miserable, but it's good. I did so much learning. I learned so much more than, well, I didn't learn any more than anyone else, but I just did so many different things, because you're sort of there and they're not paying you, so you got this ability to sort of like you can just do, which is great.
And so, were you working on sort of like new build houses, or
no? None of that. Everything was like heritage. Everything was old houses. We did some really cool jobs. Went to Ireland. I think actually went to Ireland
on your bursary.
Yeah, with Sean and Xander. We worked in Ireland, which was really, really cool.
What were you doing there?
Walling on Shirkin Island, which is just off the coast of Cork.
That sounds great.
It was good. It was really good.
How long were you there?
10 days, I think, for one shift, and then we went back for another shift. But yeah, it was good. 4 wallers. I think we did 100 I can't remember how many meters it was, 107 or 108, maybe 117 meters in 8 days, I think. But it's good graft, good work.
So this for an estate or for a farm?
No, for a client who we'd worked for before in Bridgenorth. So yeah, it was cool using their Shirkin stone quarried on the coast. Cool, black, like oily, weird, properly weird.
Sort of basalt type stuff, was it?
No. Have you watched Game of Thrones?
No.
Oh, right.
My sons have.
Yeah, they'd understand. So if you say, dragon glass, it's dragon glass. That's the sort of stone we were using.
Right.
They'll sort of say, oh yeah. They'd probably understand.
Okay.
So like it's just sort of greasy, black, weird, slaty, but not slaty, dense, but weird.
I take it you're not taking a hammer to that then. It sounds kind of brittle.
Well, no, it was heavy, strong, dense. So like you need to hammer to break it up, but it wasn't getting dressed nicely. It was, but yeah, that was physical, really physical stone. But yeah,
great experience.
Oh, brilliant! Yeah, such a cool place. Different, yeah, really different.
Who are your kind of heroes? Who inspires you in the walling?
Heroes. I reckon, breaking it down, I've got Sean Alan Rogers, day one hero. Has to be. Other heroes.
Who are you working for at the moment? That's probably.
I know well. Richard Hull, who is Andrew Loudon's right-hand man. Richard has to be one of my walling heroes, for sure.
Okay. So what is it about them that you admire?
Sean's just such a good friend. It's just
because you get a good crack with them, or
a good crack. Both of them, Richard as well. But then, like, I've got my mate. Oh, there's so many walling heroes. I mean, like Andrew Mason, really god of all gods. You know.
So explain what it is about him that you admire. Is it his walling technique, his efficiency,
everything. When you break it down, the more you break it down, the more you just realize, fuck me, this guy is the best, and he just is. But yeah, it's just the whole package. Macy at the moment, he's still the best waller in the world, but he's not doing the best walls at the moment. And I think that title goes to Ben Martindale and Sam Robinson. And
you had to mention Ben. I mean, it was him that nominated you to come on. So
there is no one else in dry stone walling who has the attention to detail that Ben has. And yeah, you have to admire that. And he makes me a better waller, and he has made Sam a better waller from working with him. And yeah.
So is it watching, or does he kind of give? Does he pass on the tips that work for him?
I do. I always do. I watch him try to copy what he does. But there's always things where he's just like, that's not right. Fix that.
So he just has the eye.
He has the eye. He has a brain. It's this like weird brain. There's just everything. Everything's so good. And yeah, his work is testament to it. It's just fantastic.
And what type of work is he doing? Is it kind of commercial or agricultural? Or?
Agricultural mostly, but at the moment he's doing a fantastic job, which is for a cool client in Troutbeck. And yeah, everyone probably has seen little bits of it here and there in his stories on Instagram. And when Nobles are there, so Nobles are there for a while, Luke as well, and I've been there. I went there for a full month not too long ago, last month even. Is it February last month? Yeah, it was. Went there for the whole of February, which was cool. And then, yeah, it's just fantastic. So, yeah, Ben, definitely one of my walling heroes. I've got lots of them. And Andy as well, Andrew Loudon is fantastic. Bill Noble.
I've met Lydia. That's their father, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, he's just like the coolest guy ever. He's ace. And yeah, I done a day of walling with him, which is cool. Very good. At his one of their field walls, which is just so cool.
So what was good about that? What was good about the experience?
Oh, it was just good, just chatting to him. He's such a brilliant man, brilliant brain, and he's just done so much. Worked all over the world.
Sounds like he should be on the podcast.
Oh yeah, if you could it'd be great. Like the technological difficulties, it'd be so good.
Maybe need somebody sitting beside him, is it?
Yeah, he's not from a technological era. I mean, he used to test drive David Brown tractors. So that's sort of, yeah. If it was mechanical, it'd probably be completely fine. But yeah, computer screens and stuff, not his territory.
So it sounds you've had a great and wide experience even since finishing your bursary. Then,
yeah, I'd say so. I just love dry stone walling. although I'm not always tri-stone walling because I'm sort of, quite.
Yeah, you've got to do it.
Yeah, you just got to do everything.
Got to do everything. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's just the best thing in the world. I love it. It's just great, good.
That'll take you far. That attitude.
Cheers. I'm not going to do anything else. So,
so your future ambitions then?
Well, my ambition is to be the best in the world, learn as much as I can, and just get better. Always improve. Never stagnate. Mm-hmm. Just develop.
So, are you working towards your master craftsman at the moment, or whereabout is that in your head?
That is like I'm 22 now, and I did what I did want to do: beat Lydia to youngest master craftsman. Mm-hmm. And I just think that it's too rushed, and I don't want to have some reputation for someone who, he didn't deserve to get it. He did it too quick and all that. It's like I'd rather take my time and know it within my own abilities that it's comfortably obtained and not rushed. Because I think, but I will do it, definitely, no question about it. Because that's all you can. That is the absolute top level. You cannot go any higher than that.
I take it you would ultimately at some point branch out by yourself.
Well,
do you do that now already, or?
Yeah, so I've been solo, self-employed since on my own anyway since exactly 1 year ago. I think 2 days ago. Yeah, 1 year ago, 2 days ago.
You picked a perfect time to go self-employed just before lockdown.
Well, I was not like a sort of chosen. We sort of like we split, me and Caragalwi, as you do, after 2 years of working with people, and then I just sort of like set out on my own. Really, I'd done my own jobs before that, but nothing too big. And then I just sort of like. Yeah, just sort of like put feeders out, immediately got plenty of work. And yeah, it just never looked back. I mean, the first job I did was building an arch, tri-stone arch, which was quite fun. Like
those are good fun.
Never done one before. Just like the guy asked me if I could do it, and I was like, "Yeah, done loads of them."
That's my attitude. Oh yeah, I can do that. I can do that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, done that before.
Yeah. So what was that? In a private garden, or?
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's quite cool because I live right next to the Offers Dyke footpath, which is King Offers Dyke, which used to be a big land barrier between Wales and England, but it's now a Drovers Road, which you can. Well, no, it's not now Drovers Road. It sort of became a Drovers Road in my end, and it's the trail of the Offers Dyke path sort of remains. And I was working right on that, but further down near Oswestry, which is kind of cool. So yeah, it's a garden wall, but yeah, the arch is cool. It's got loads of gravestones in it.
What's the future?
Future, I've got loads and loads of work. Trying to think. I've got some cool retaining walls to do. I'm planning on going back to Cumbria to continue working with Ben and Sam, which would be fantastic. I've got so many things. Those are just walling. Lots of walling, different stones, all sorts of cool things. Just done a bench, which wasn't dry, but was imitation dry look, using my local stone, which is possibly the worst material on the planet for walling. Awful. The amount of like foraging I had to do in the farmer's field.
So what is it, a glacial till, or what is it?
Yeah, it's a siltstone or a mudstone.
Oh, right, okay, so sort of almost shaley type thing.
That's what the farmers call it, shale. It's not shale. It just isn't. It's as dense as granite, but it breaks. It's got no seams in it. It just breaks randomly. But yeah, I love a challenge. Really love a challenge. So using that stone is my favorite. It's my favorite stone. It's so cool. It's terrible but good. Yeah.
So is that again a bench for a private client, or?
Yeah, for the lovely Damien, Jane, and John. Yeah, down the road in Aberwheeler. So yeah, and then also while I've been there, I've taken on a cloud. Well, I'm going to build a cloud, which is you could ask Sean. Sean could tell you in more depth what the cloud is, but it is an earth. Well, a sod and stone.
That's the double wall with the earth in the middle.
Yeah, so what you might call a Cornish hedge, but
with the stones vertical.
Well, this has got all sorts of things going on in it. It's got normal sort of like coursed in it, and then it's also got vertical sections with tiny little shimmy stones all length in. But yeah, it'll be cool projects. I'll do that probably next year, or whenever. But it'll be the only cloud in the whole of the Clwydian range, which will be reinstated, because all the other, well, it's in a condition now where it's like right on the edge of irreparable. But yeah, it will be the only one in existence on the Clwydian range which will have been restored, which is something I really want to do.
That sounds a cool project. Kind of getting near the end now, so we'll just kind of touch. Obviously, I come from a kind of more artistic background. I stuck in at the art college. I followed right through to the end. So I come at stone from an artistic viewpoint. So do you have any ambitions to be creative with the stonework?
Yeah,
because obviously you mentioned earlier on you've kind of got an artistic bent. Is that something that you maybe, once you kind of feel that you've kind of got a grasp of the techniques and everything, that you might want to kind of play about with your creativity?
I think so, but it's hard for me to want to. I'm not someone who thinks about the material in any other way other than a building material. So it's not. So I don't know what I do really, but I am no Goldsworthy. I am a Waller.
Yeah, you're only 22.
Well, yeah.
If somebody comes up and say, "I want something fancy," you're going to go, "Well, I can do that."
I can do anything. If anyone, I can do anything within dry stone walling, no question about it. And I've always, I think, that's the attitude you have. You have to have that, or else, why are you doing anything? And even if I did have any questions, and I've got all the contacts to art.
Yeah,
I've got all the people. I know everyone. Like, if I have any question, any concern, just I've got the network. So, yeah.
So it sounds like the bursary has been a real success for you. The scheme, the bursary scheme.
Yeah, I mean, without it, I probably would be walling anyway. But it meant that my skills have, developed at a much faster rate. I've learned a hell of a lot more than if I was on my own in the middle of a field. And yeah, it's meant I've got to work with brilliant wallers like Sean Adcock, Andrew Mason, Loudon, Isherwood. Just the more you do, the better you become. And so I just constantly done and done and done. I don't know, my stance on the walling agricultural versus art is that is an agricultural practice. And then in order to do the artistic things, you need to obtain a certain standard before moving towards, feature work even.
I'm not 100% sure if that's true. What I would say is there's a balance between the craft and artistic freedom. And what I would probably countenance is that I would never say that somebody couldn't play about with the craft at any point. Because without doing that, you can't achieve anything. You've got to kind of start someplace. And if you go down the route of just learning technique at the start, I think that perhaps just curtails your creativity. Whereas if you come at just creatively, that keeps your eyes wider. Whereas if you come just from technique, you perhaps worry about technique over the artistic thing too early.
Yeah, but you have to have the ability to be able to, build these designs and to, explore the stone further. You need to make sure that you're building a strong structure. And I know you see lots of these people who build all this sort of like they call it whimsical, and it's just appalling. It's appallingly built.
I do understand what you're saying, and and again, I aim to build my stuff as best as I can.
Well, yeah, I am prepared on anything I build to take a financial hit. If it takes me an extra 3 days, I'm not earning any more. I will ensure that building is correct and strong. And I think probably lots of it comes down to people, not wanting to take that financial hit, rushing, or But yeah, I think walling is an agricultural practice. And I think
again, I would kind of slightly disagree with that. It has been since the mid 16th century or so.
Yeah, enclosures acts and all that.
Yeah, exactly. And that's very much what the DSWA is kind of adhering to, the kind of an enclosure act type walling. But stonework has got a long past before it just was purely agricultural. And
I understand that.
I've certainly not come from an agricultural background. I don't live in an agricultural, although Perth is an agricultural area. I'm not a rural guy. I'm not coming from an agricultural background. My interest is in urban spaces, shared spaces, and I think stonework. I love it. Just the same as you've got the absolute passion for it, and I think it has a role in urban spaces that I think lends itself to going beyond agriculture and being artistic. And I would totally agree with you where it's done badly. I think it does the craft a real disservice. It's who decides who gets to play about with it and who doesn't.
I'm solely looking at this from walling. I'm only looking at this from walling. I'm not referring to anything else. And the way I see it is the only reason anyone sees anything artistic in walling is down to Goldsworth. There's almost no denying that.
They open the front cover of my report. The first picture is Goldsworthy's wavy wall at Stormking, and there's a quote there from Jared Flynn, and it says, "Art saved the craft," and that's purely down towards Goldsworthy. So I would say that there is a debt there to pay to Goldsworthy.
I think it's also his take on walling is quite interesting as well.
Oh, very much so.
Yeah, and I've actually got a quote of his, and this is from page 106 from Stone, and it is, "I must keep the wall's roots firmly in agriculture, not art, otherwise they could lose their meaning as works of art. I enjoy the aesthetic of the practical."
But then Goldsworthy comes from a kind of agricultural kind of area. He's one voice. And in some ways, my podcast is about trying to get other voices within in and around Stone, and hear other voices and hear other attitudes.
My attitude is solely around dry stone walling. So I am just one-dimensional waller. I can't talk about anything else really. I like Goldsworthy's summary, and I agree with it. I do, because you need that practical strength, correct walling, good practice, and that's what walling is for. It's for keeping animals in a pen, in a field.
Yeah, well, we could. We're going to have another podcast about that. we'll revisit this one, shall we say?
Okay.
So, but it's been great to hear about your bursary and obviously all your experiences with the DSWA. And I sort of wish you great luck with your career. And
cheers, David.
I'll keep an eye on your Instagram. If I see anything creative coming out of you, I'm on your back.
Yeah. I've done. I mean, what even is creative, Pauline? I do like featurey type stuff. I've just done a dry stone look bench, which is like what most people would consider like, oh, that's feature work. But I'm just always keen to do whatever. Walling.
Right, we shall say goodbye for tonight. And
bye bye.
Bye bye. Okay.